I'm going to try and see if we can pull together 3 things I've been talking about recently. Oh, all right, 4. All right, 5. Everybody's on the take. Life validates itself through man. Everyone is continually being seduced. Those with the power to misinform have all the power they'll ever need. And those who can't say no one can. And I think that about wraps it up. That's enough. Just saying what we're going to do. All right, here we go. Can you see? What I want you to do is try and see how things are, may I say, connected. And if we were going to have a name for this, which we don't, besides the ones that seem to produce a certain amount of jocoseness with you people, humor, we could be fairly serious. Not that I'm going to do it, but the name could be of this kind of activity, quote, how things are connected, except for those that don't seem to be, end of quote. So see if you can see, because this is indeed one of the ways to look at this kind of activity forever and ever and ever. If you could look at a kind of 4- and 5-dimensional version of all religions and all philosophies, if they indeed had any practical significance, it would be. That is, if you could read it or follow their rituals, their ideas, and it did do something for you. Not made you feel worse, not made you feel more guilty, not made you perhaps not quit drinking, but just quit enjoying it as much. Not do that if it actually had some multifaceted, salubrious effect on you. It would have to be in the area of awe. The awe being, well, it's all just connected. It's just all right there together. And I just never realized it. Of course, they do not do that. Life does not allow that to operate. Life gives out these franchises and these large institutions like religions. And the thing, not just religion, but among other things, but the religion, what it has to do to exist is establish absolute frontiers. It must separate itself. For a new religion to start, it has to separate itself. It has to put up boundaries and say, this is what we are. So to do that, you are already flying in the face of it ever showing how things are connected. Because new religions don't start. A man does not come down from a mountain or out of a cave or leave his 4th wife and say, I now see the light. The gods have talked to me. And him say, hey, everything's all connected, and anything I could tell you is just going to be connected to everything else. And it's really nothing in particular, but if you want to hear it, I'll tell you, but it's going to lead to just seeing that nothing is anything in particular. You do hear that Moses would have been run out of town. Jesus would have had more problems than he had, or looked at it another way, less problems, because they would have thought, the man's nuts. He is absolutely safe. He is harmless. But what I was trying to get you tonight to see is some of the things I have hit on the 5 I mentioned over the last couple of weeks, how they're absolutely tied together. Now, first off, that little thing that did not fly real well with you people about everyone's on the take. It's just one of those nice little phrases. It's one of those, of course, it's more than a phrase with ordinary people. It is an accusation. It is another bullet in people's bullet vest of accusations about life being on this level. But there's more to it than that. That is simply a reflection of something else. It is a verbal manifestation of the fact that everybody is on the take. That is, that things are not on the up and up. Not because of some problem that man has forced it upon himself. It is not through some shortcoming of man. It's not through some sin. Can you realize that you would not be alive intellectually? Let's forget about just artificially and arbitrarily cut off yourself from the verbal part of the nervous system loop. Do you realize that from there up, from the verbal part, you could not exist if you weren't on the take? You were anybody. If things were on the up and up, intellectually, you couldn't function. You'd be out of business. You'd be starved to death. If you were simply dependent upon, well, wait a minute, the things I've been told are the things that seem to be common sense. Let's see, do they add up? And the answer is no. Do they make any sense? No. Is everything I learned, or anything I've ever learned through any ordinary avenues, has it produced anything of any significance in my life? And sad to say, if you're the type that likes to be sad, if not otherwise, the answer is no. You have got to be on the take. It is a shifty business. It's the way things are. Everybody is being bribed to stand still. Everybody's being bribed to go, oh yeah, I knew that, and you didn't know it. Everybody's being bribed to go, well, I'm sure if I don't figure it out, the guy next to me will. And it's not true. But it's like life continually has to say, can I slip this by you? And of course you don't know how to answer, and you can answer, and it doesn't happen in exactly this linear way, but it's like it says, all right, here it comes, but here's a little something for you, turn your head. And everybody goes, da-da-da-da-da, and they ship it right through. Of course, where they ship it through is not through customs, they ship it through you. It passes through you, and you look off. Everyone's on the take. This is, in one way, how life validates itself through man. Now, if you recall as a subheading or a footnote, you can try, if you remember any of that, of how I was talking in some of the ways that if we were looking at man as being worthy of some so-called psychological examination, then you could say that, in a sense, what people do with their lives, apparently, if they were self-motivated, is some kind of attempted validation. So, any of you who can run this parallelly, if there is such a word, but what I want you to try and connect it with is on a larger scale, is life itself, in a sense, that no one can ever see, no one even thinks about. It does not exist three-dimensionally, except, of course, fragmentedly, and if you begin to see it, it's when you go, ah, I should have seen that. It is the easy, it is the obvious, it is the most efficient scientific theory, because that begins to explain something, but at any rate. Or at some rate. There is a connection between that and life continually validating itself through man. But specifically, what I didn't make this specific the time I mentioned this, it is validating itself specifically through the verbal loop in man. There is a kind of validation with everything that is in existence. There's in life's body, in a sense, every little part of you, the parts you don't like, the wart on your rump, a cut on your head, a short finger you got, whatever it is you got, or maybe some of you don't particularly care for your pancreas. Who knows? Or just maybe the northeastern corner of your pancreas. It doesn't matter. In some way, it is a validation of your life. That is, we'll assume, not being a doctor, but let's just assume that you cannot exist without the northeast section, the top 40, the bottom 40 of your pancreas. But there is a specific way. Life is validating itself through rocks, worms, birds, trees. But there is only one way that you can see, three-dimensionally, that life is validating itself intellectually, what we call intellectually, and that is man. So the process is going on that life, in some way, is validating itself continually through man, through what you think, through what you say, through what you daydream, through what you deny, but all looked at right now above the verbal section of the nervous system loop. Can you see that at that level, what I started out with, can you see that to validate itself through man, for you to stand still, for you to be this kind of continued validation, like it has to turn around and stamp itself over and over and over, that yes, I'm here, yes, I'm here, yes, I showed up on time, I'm at work today, yes, I'll be out of the lot by closing time. And it's continually stamping somebody. Well, of course, everybody, but if you begin to see, it is stamping you intellectually over and over and over, and for you to stand still, it's bribing you. You're on the take, and you don't know it. This is of no great consequence, because the only thing of consequence to talk about generally when we're talking about overworld intelligence or the city is the bell curve. Surely by now you people know it, because there are exceptions, as the 3D mind would have it, to everything, that there are birds born with one wing. But you don't have that many robins born that way, or the species would die out. But it happens. And so there are people who are not subject to what I'm talking about, that life does not manifest itself. There are mutants running around, mechanical mutants, not mutants that made themselves mutants like some people. Well, we won't go into it, will we? like some people attempting to do to themselves. I'm talking about people who are simply born mutants. But in the bell curve, you have everyone is on the take, everyone is living a dishonest life, but when I started to tell you with the little examples, I didn't, the exceptions, it would appear to be, without them knowing these terms, that people who end up mentally deranged, they went crazy. Many of them, if they heard my term, this is no great consequence, take this as absolutely parenthetical, except to see that everything that you begin to see is tied into life. It's just this is way out at the outskirts. But man, the people that would be judged by the bell curve, the middle class of life's body, to be those that would be adjudicated and deemed to be mentally unsound, unstable, would have such a feeling that they are in some way being cheated, that life is dishonest. I go around too many corners with that. In other words, I could take this message, this little part, and run right into a good mental hospital somewhere and say, did you people realize that everyone's on the take, life is bribing everybody to stand still for what's going on, instead of you sitting there going, what does that mean? I'd have many people jumping up hollering, hey, whatever your name is, I'll vote for you. That's it. I knew it. I knew it. That doesn't mean anything, I think. Well, if it does, it's your problem, not mine. Don't get frightened. Just a little humor. Since we're running on short tape and I'm trying to tie all these 5 up, that's why I did it tonight, so we could run real fast. You simply need to see, as always, trying to pull yourself from the old kind of intelligence, the old kind of thinking, that this is in some way psychological, that this is in some way proof that man is flawed himself, which he's not, or that things are askew, they're not. They're simply not seen in their more complex, full nature. But what you should see is, from the intellectual view, from the view of the world that is unique to man, you should see that things are not on the up and up. But since that is the rule, you need to see it is not an aberration, and it is not something that ordinary people can fight against, because ordinary people can't see it. When everybody is colorblind, the bell curve, and nobody, let's say, can see red, then there is no red. You understand? That if you were the mutant and you could see red, it's not that you're going to the rest of them and say, boy, you people should straighten out. To begin with, they don't need to straighten out. To begin with, they don't know what you're talking about. To begin with, they can't straighten out. They are then the two-winged robin species, and you're the mutant. So it's not that there is something ill-balanced afoot, but you should be able to begin to see that on the basis of everyone else having to believe that things should be self-evident, that things can be figured out, the truth is somewhere right here before us. Well, probably not right here before us. It's in a book. That's where it is. It's not right here before us. If I really want to know the truth, where's that book? I'll find the book. I hadn't found the book yet, but I will find the book. That somebody knows it and somebody's got it written down. So I don't have time, I'm sorry, to look out here. I don't have time to deal with what they call it. Starts with an R. An R. Romalord. No. Reality. I don't have time to deal with this. I want a book. So at least I won't hurt myself. But you should be able to see that there is a distinct way in which everyone is on the take. That the intellect is made to believe, made to repeat, made to think that things are self-evident. Things can be figured out. 2 and 2 does make 4, or the same thing. The intellect says things cannot be figured out. 2 and 2 does not equal 4 sometimes. None of this makes any sense, which by now you should understand is the same thing. All of that is a bribe. All of that is dishonesty. At that level, I'll tell you one more time, let me point out, it's not dishonesty, because it's the norm. If you're in a land of thieves and you try to be honest, it's the same thing as I was trying to tell you about being colorblind. It is not really dishonest. But you need to begin to see it is dishonest, because once you can get away from the old world and you can get to some new territory and you can look back at it, you do realize that it is dishonest. That is, if you played the game, which you did, and everybody has to, of, hey, you're a human and let's do human things. That's what life is doing to you. And you go, all right. And part of the human things is to be intellectually curious. Part of the human thing is to be dissatisfied. Part of the human thing is to feel as though you're separated from life. And then part of the human thing is to think that, well, this can probably congeal in some more satisfactory manner. And all that's dishonest. Because none of what I said is true in a more complex way. The last part is absolutely dishonest, because it's never going to congeal on that basis. It has congealed. It's that you're simply looking at a flawed version of, what is it, our Robitussin reality. You're simply looking at 3/5 of it. And therefore it will never congeal. You don't call it dishonest? Now if you don't ever get out of the 3D world, the old world, then it's not dishonest. I wouldn't tell you it was dishonest. I wouldn't tell an ordinary person it's dishonest, because it's not. If you're going to stay in Spain instead of sail off with Columbus, and everybody speaks Spanish, and I told you, hey, speaking Spanish is what is killing you. It's going to keep you blind all your life. And of course I had to tell you that in Spanish. That was the only language you spoke. And if I went and told people that, they'd go, right, yeah, get a load of him. Is your last name Ziffel? Now let me pick up another one that I mentioned a while back about everyone is being continually seduced. A part I didn't tell you that night, a part I didn't mention, is this. The primo seduction, the supreme seduction, would be by one that you understood could rape you. That is the seduction of seductions. I can wait a second. I hate for you to look so hard that you strain yourself. The ultimate seduction that, all right, yeah, I have been seduced, I've been had, is to realize, though, I have been seduced through whatever the method was, by Jizeric, by Attila, by Genghis Khan, by Superman. I have been seduced by one who did not have to seduce me. I have been seduced by one that could rape me at will. That is the ultimate seduction. That is being alive. It is the kind of continual, non-stop validation that life does of itself through man. It is that everyone's on the take, that you can't go and call rape. You're on the take. You can't accuse life of being dishonest, because life can do whatever it wants to with you. So the feeling is, all right, I have been wined and dined. Life is not a bed of roses, perhaps, but hey, I got a Corvette, almost paid for, got a few women on the side, got my health, more or less, making more money than my father ever did. I'm not too bad. Compared to what? Compared to what degree of honesty are you going to judge if I'm not doing too bad? You have been seduced. Every damn one of you missed it. And you on tape, I don't even want to talk about you people out there. The real seduction. Am I going to have to draw the parallel to start off with the first part of the allegory, the illusion, that you have been wined, dined. You have had poetry whispered in your ear. You've had this other thing, this other creature, stroke you, cradle your little face, compliment you in ways deserved and otherwise. And all along, as soon as you realized it, you also realize I'm being seduced, and ain't no doubt it's going to succeed. And the reason there's no doubt it's going to succeed is you're also aware that this thing, at any moment, I don't mean just physically, at any moment, this thing can rape you and everybody else. the Grand Inquisitor, the Supreme Grand Inquisitor, that says, tell me what you know, Bunky. You cute little thing. I want you to tell me what you know. And you realize, and here it is, and it offers you, would you like a drink? Are you comfortable? But you realize, you know that just like that, it can do the worst thing in the world, or the second worst. That is the supreme seduction. Now, specifically to the intellect of man, can you see that you are being seduced intellectually because you are continually submitting to the inevitable? No one has ever used these kind of phrases or this kind of mapping. But men intellectually submit on the basis that they can be raped at any time. That it's not even in question. There's no doubt. It is a kind of non-conversational admission as to who's in charge. Who's the fucker and who's the fuckee. That's technical talk, Mitch. See if you can find how this is connected. I was going to go ahead and drag this one in since I just hit it on the run the other night. That those with the power to misinform have all the power they'll ever need. A lot of you laughed and liked that one. Now, if we were good city folks, if we were good old world, decent people, the line should have been that those with the power to inform have the power, or have all the power they'll need. Those that control the media, those that control the flow of information, right? Yeah. But let me tell you who's got the real power. That's those are it who have the power to misinform. You understand? When I lay out one of these sentences, I mean exactly. There's no fat, and they're not suffering from anorexia. It says exactly what I meant it to say. That those who have the power to misinform have all the power they need. But misinform means this. The inherent part of that sentence is, to misinform means that you won't know better. It's not for somebody to come and say, hey, that's down. And you go, yeah, right. Surely you knew, when you laughed the other night when I said it, without analyzing it, you knew then it meant more than the obvious. The power to misinform is for the thing to go, do you know up from down? And you go, oh, sure. And you go, well, no, down and up. And you go, yeah. And you go, okay. I thought you were an all right guy. I thought you were with it. That is the power to misinform. That doesn't sound familiar? Well, not to a person that's been seduced all their life and never knew it. I don't guess it does. You go, no, that never happened to me. And I'm still a virgin. Well, I'm a semi-virgin. Plus, I'm honest. I'm not on the tape. Nobody can bribe me. Let me tell you a little bit more about the power to misinform. This would include, let me suggest just for a second, that the power, that is those with the power to misinform, might be life. Let's just assume, since I don't have to keep saying those, let's assume it's life itself. Our total complex milieu, the environment that are us. The environment are us. I guess that's a new company. Let me tell you part of what the power to misinform is. It's to make you think that indeed the misinformer can rape you at will. That is one of the pieces of the misinformation. Now, those of you still sitting there with overworld intelligence would say, well, that's just the opposite from what somebody just said. And was probably, that is one of the pieces of misinformation, is to tell you that. In this case, the rape we're not speaking sexually. Surely you people know that. Of course, you people out there on tape at other times and other places, God only knows, God and Larry, what you people make of this. But as we like to say in the trade, that ain't my problem. I can't remember what trade. Is it plumber? I don't know. Part of this rape, or part of this misinformation of it saying that it could rape you at will, is that it can give you whatever information it wants to. You'll take it and you'll like it. By like it means you don't have to agree with it, because whatever information life sends out, half the people are going to say, yeah, that's true, and the other half say, no, it's not true. So you people are good enough to know, but now when I say like it, those who say it's not true, they still like it, they took it. If you didn't take the information, you wouldn't have any reaction to it. You wouldn't say, I like it, or I don't like it, or I believe it, or I don't believe it. So you like it, or you wouldn't respond to it. The energy flowing through the information would have no effect on you. Do you see that that is not only rape, that is misinformed rape, of making you believe that that's true? I know I got to say there's another level in there. All right, let me try it another way. I'll simplify it. Don't do that. All right, I'll simplify it. When somebody tells you not to, if you got any sense, you say, oh, I won't. Then you have to go ahead, see. It's like saying that there's 3 things I was going to point out, because I figure if I said 5 to start with, right off the bat at the tape, many people's intelligence will go, got to connect 5 things, Jesus. No. So I said 3, and I went, oh, maybe 4. The power to misinform, another way to look at it, is to make everyone believe that the thoughts that run through you are singular. Well, not that you're the only person that ever had the thought, but that the thought is in some way singularly yours. Now, you may have read it originally in a book right then, and then you went, ah. But as soon as you go, ah, or if you go, blah, and if you say, well, that's a great idea, if you say that's the worst idea, that is the energy inherent in that idea, even there on the cold, apparently dead written page, runs through you, and you like it, you react to the energy. You have taken it now as being singular with you. You take it personally, that you now think that, or else you now think that that's not true. It's the same thing, but you now think it as being a piece of you. You don't realize that you've been raped. You don't realize that you've been misinformed. Of course, the ordinary you don't, because there is absolutely nothing to which you can compare it. That if you can't see red, somebody can talk about red to you until all the farmers come home. And you still won't know. It's that simple. It's that direct. There's another way that life misinforms. The dialogue itself, running through people, through the intellect. Forget anything below the verbal level. Forget about physically right now. Physically, you just are what you are for the sake of what I'm talking about tonight. Life gives you misinformation. That is, that 2 and 2 does not turn out to be a pragmatic, a workable 4. It does not change you intellectually. It does not change what you seem to be. The information that life sends out to the middle class, to the bell curve. A part of the seduction is that it can give you anything, any misinformation it wants to, and not only will you accept it, but you cannot tell that it's misinformation. Since you cannot tell that, we're back to what I pointed out, that there is no way to talk about ordinary people being seduced, being on the take, being raped, because it's not true. And even if it is true, they don't know it. They can't know it. So it might as well not be true. You understand? The seduction, in part though, is to give you misinformation, and not only will you take it, but there is no way that you can make any judgment of that information. Now that I've said that, I can point out that there is a way to make a judgment of information. That if you can get away from the point of embarkation of the old world intelligence and the nervous system and get into the new territory, you can then look back and see that what everyone else, that is you, that all the information, that is the misinformation, that all of the help, that is all of the rape and seduction that you've been through, that life has offered, is then you look back and you realize that it was not anything workable, none of it approximated being complete, all of it was flawed, and yet that at your time and place that prevailed as the truth was deemed by you and everybody else, thanks to life, as well, that's self-evident. That's obviously correct. We obviously got to press on. Man must continue to evolve intellectually, scientifically, technologically, but certain things are obviously true, and you see that certain things are not obviously true. They're obviously misinformation on the basis of them being presented as being true. On the basis of your dialogue, through you, of you looking at things, of you studying about things, of you discussing things, of you looking off by yourself and rhapsodizing philosophically. It's all a form of misinformation. Once life has you on the take, once life has adequately seduced you, proved that you could be had with no problem, once life sees that it can feed you any information it wants to, that is misinformation, because it's all misinformation, you understand? Surely, it's not that there's any question about any piece of information being valid or invalid, it's all misinformation. Anything that the ordinary intelligence can accept is misinformation. So once life understands in your case that that's true, then life can generally ignore you. Because it's not a question of what information should I let out. It's not a question of life being a radio station and wondering, well, how wide of a bandwidth through the, let's assume it's going to use the FM area of radio waves, which surely life would at least be FM, wouldn't it? And I hate to think about Larry broadcasting on AM. But at any rate, it's not a matter of life worrying about, well, wait a minute, what will I broadcast? What information should go out? How wide should I let the bandwidth be? It's not that. All life has to worry about are the receivers. That is, us. It's not that the information going out per se is misinformation. It can be garbage, it can be good information, it can be 5D information, it can be 7-14 information. That doesn't matter. As long as your intelligence will only pick up what I'm calling misinformation, which may be reality to ordinary people, which may be the truth. As long as that's all you'll pick up, you understand, and life sees, all right, the middle class, by and large, down in me, out in me, up in me, what I've got that those people can hear is this misinformation. We don't have to call it misinformation anymore. If you understand, we can call it X40. As long as it understands that, by and large, a few mutants which you don't even have time to fool with, everyone else can only hear X40. If that's true, and X40 is always contained, since it's just a little piece of anything live broadcast, then it doesn't matter what it broadcasts. Life does not have to keep track of the information. All it's got to do is keep track of the receptors of the information. But on that basis, if you can ever get free from it, then you do see that every piece of information you ever had was misinformation. Not because of some evil plot, because of life wiring you and everyone else up in that manner. Once life understands that that's the way you are, if you're of that potential importance to start with, which nobody is right, but when I use the term, life can then ignore you. If it wasn't for that, if life had to keep track, then nobody would ever know anything. I mean, unusual. Because the information's there. All the ideas about secret knowledge, as many times as I've tried to get you to look at it certain ways, the ideas of secret knowledge are me saying there's no great book, or there's no guy hidden in a cave in Tibet, and there are not guys on UFOs, or at least you won't ever see them. The ones you see, those guys are in wagons. They're pushing each other on scooters. It's the same thing as the FM, the broadcast. When I'm telling you, if you go out in the backyard and you see a UFO, what if you saw? Nothing. Probably Charlie Brown was running it, or Snoopy. Because if you can see it, it ain't shit. Let me just put it to you that way. That's aeronautical, technical talk for you people that don't know it. It's not a problem of information being hidden somewhere, some secret. It's right here. It's the matter of the receptor. It's a matter of what you can take in. The fifth one I was going to tie up. Are we to 6 now? Did I lie to start with when I said 3 and then 4 and 5? All right, it was the 5th one. You recall the one, either me or Kyrute. All right, either Kyrute or me. That only those who can't say no one can. Don't say that's obvious, because it's not. If you think that's obvious, then you would have never tried to follow any religion. You'd have never taken any advice from anybody, including your own parents. You'd have never taken any proverbial wisdom as being wisdom, because you would have looked at the source, the apparent, the obvious, the visible, the verbal source of the information, and then you'd have looked at the source. Anyone who says no one can do that, what they're saying is they can't do it. It's those who say that no one can are the living proof that they can't. No one sees any possible connection with those first 4 things to this one. Oh, all right. You don't see any connection between everyone's on the take, life validates itself through man, everyone is being continually seduced. Those with the power to misinform have all the power they'll ever need. And you don't see those 4 in any way connected to those who can't say no one can. All right. Give you some hints, since you knew I would weaken. How about life has the middle class, the great bell curve, the robins with 2 wings. Those adequately seduced, those adequately on the take. And let's say that every now and then it does in some way take notice of these potential mutants. Perhaps bundles of little molecular energy, perhaps not too much unlike some of you, perhaps. And let's say that every now and then something seems to happen within the life of life that it evidently thinks itself that this may be getting out of hand. I'll give you another hint. There is, even in the 3D world, there is some historical little pinpoints coming up through recorded history that might have something to do with what I'm talking about. If you won't need a new hobby to go read history to think back of what you did read. But at any rate, and it's not all obscure, that what if periodically life does go, you know, there's something going on down here. And it sends, evidently a human, has got some human that it wires up in a certain way, and it gives this human a certain, the information, that is the misinformation this guy gets, or this woman, has a certain little peculiar spin to it. And this guy, this one little mouthpiece for life in general, stands up and begins to say, some of you people, I think, are interested in blah, blah, blah. And a few people go, yeah. And it says, and some of you people even begin to think that perhaps you're being blah, blah, blah. You know, like screwed, misled, ripped off, misused. And a few people go, yeah. And some of you even think that it may not be the fault of life or something going on. It may be that there's somebody to figure this out. And they go, yeah. And then they get real interested. And the guy says, I thought that too, and I'm in touch with some of the cosmic forces in God. And he told me, he sent me down here specifically to talk to you people and tell you, forget it. It can't be done. Oh, okay. Now, when I did that little bit, I knew that some of you thought it was my guess. That some of you would laugh and some of you would look strange. And probably one or two nervous systems somewhere would go, wait a minute, that sounds backwards. Because laugh, probably some of your nervous system went, well, you thought I was going to put another spin myself on it, to where as people come in saying, the God sent me to tell you people you can do this. Think about these messages that apparently have come from great metaphysical sources in the history of man. If you can think back a certain way and hear it, what they were saying is there are certain things you can't do. Now they're presenting other guys, like come join up. Come join up. Because all the problems they're trying to figure out and the things you want to overcome, you can't do it in life. That's why God sent me here. It's come join up, and after it's over, that is, after God gives you the final roll in the hay, after life seduces you for the last time, after that you'll wake up and instead of wanting a cigarette, you'll be ready for the information, and then you'll know. But now you can't do it. It can't be done. You can't know such as this. Just forget about it. You know, all right. It's not a real good screw, but it's just forget about it. You think, well, maybe it's kind of like an intellectual cold shower. I didn't really have any sex, but at least temporarily I'm not all that interested in it anyway. You have been royally, regally, supremely had. We got to turn the tape over. The idea that those who can't say no one can, you've got to see that that is life at work again inside the dialogue of people individually, then inside of what is really an institutional size. That is the external dialogue of life itself. Civilization, common sense, scientific progress, technological evolution. All of that is saying things that man cannot do continually. But you have got to see that that is life at work again, the same as the first four I started out with tonight. It is life at work. It is life doing what is good for life. And indirectly, it's not bad for you. It's not hurting you, especially if you're middle class, especially if you are forever tied to the shores of old world intelligence. It's not hurting you at all because you don't know any better. It'd be like someone of, what was his name? Ernestine the Baptist, crying in the wilderness, "You people can't see red, you can't see red." He finally, or she sneaks closer up the city and hollers out, "You can't see red, you don't know what you're missing." And everybody in the city is colorblind. Boy, are they upset to get this message. Boy, does that turn things around. It is life back at work. But if you can ever free yourself from the shores of old world intelligence, you have got to see, if you're going to be a real explorer, that this is supreme misinformation. At the old level, it is true. Everything that your mother and your father, that life tells you cannot be done, it's true. So what? I mean, is this some kind of big shock? What the hell were you doing for the first 20 or 30 years before I met you? I don't know. You're still stumbling around thinking, "No, that's not true, I can do it." You know, goddamn, shape up. Everything they told you can't do was correct. Their life wouldn't have made somebody tell you personally, "You can't do that." "Oh, yes, I can." "No, you can't." "Oh, you might physically go do it, but you're not really going to do it. Because if you do it," now I can talk here forever, but you should know how it goes. The way that life runs its energy, the way that life cooks everybody's books and churns everybody's account. You can go do it and then go back to whoever told you and say, "Hey, I did it. You said I couldn't do it." And they go, "Oh my God, you didn't really." "Yes, I did. This is one possibility." And they go, "Oh no, don't tell me you did." And you think, "My God, what have I done?" Or you say, or you go back to them, just, "Come on, I can start making these up, but you go back and say, 'You told me I couldn't do it, I did it.'" And they look at it, say, "Dad, you call that doing it? That didn't do it." And you go, "Ah, shit." Or you go to somebody that told you couldn't do it and you say, "You told me I couldn't do it, I did it." And they went, "Well, I just told you that was a joke." Or you go back to somebody that told you couldn't do it and you say, "Look, I did it." And they say, "Well, we've changed our mind since then. Anybody can do that." Then you think, "Well, I spent 10 years. Do you understand? If somebody told you, which it was life, remember, they're just waiting for life. Life sent them there. I mean, it's as bad as somebody knocking on the door and trying to sell you what? I hate to say insurance. The complete recorded works of George Gershwin. Give me insurance. If someone told you you can't do it, it was correct. Even if you go do it, you can't do it. So what any individual told you, what you seem to have told yourself, what seems to be self-evident mortal truths, that, well, there's some things people can't do. You're right. So what? Let the rest of the world, which they're going to do anyway, they don't need my permission. They're the ones still going to batter around over there in Spain, Portugal, Italy, the old world of intelligence. They're the ones that are still going to battle around. Wait a minute. They can't tell us that. Surely we can do it. We can do it a little bit. They're the ones that got to deal with that. In your lifetime, you've got to see. If life has told you some way that you can't do that, you can't do it. Just forget about it. Of course, the fact is, it ain't worth doing. It doesn't matter. You can do it. You can't do it. It can't be done. Everybody can do it. That's just part of the seduction. That is part of the misinformation. Say you can't do it. Life can't even directly tell you that you can't do this, because life does not let out verbally the resistance to this. That is why I periodically bring up that thing about, what if this is what you can find simply misdirection? Now I told you not to worry about it. Because life does not have to misdirect people from this. Oh, it does on a small level. That's what normal cults and systems and everything that you know through history, that's everything that's been recorded. But that's on the basis closer to what I was saying you of life sending out these people that simply say, "Hey, are you people interested in some kind of secret knowledge?" And every now and then life does this, and a whole bunch of people go, "Yeah." I'm talking about knowledge that probably changed what you are so that you wouldn't be ordinary like everybody else and trapped in this slaughter line just like everybody else. And they all go, "Yeah." And say, "Okay, come over here." Now that's when they say, what you're wanting can't be done, but here's the best you can do. That stuff does pop up. Always serious, always has absolute limits, always states dogmatically. Of course, sometimes it seems to be. I don't know. I'm trying to give you people, so I can talk faster, more credit. It may seem that the message came out that here's the thing to do, but what they're saying is, do this because what you really want can't be done. They just don't recognize it. It's more of life playing the two-handed puppet. The show, when life's running both of it, is more a kind of what appears to be three, but it's a four-dimensional ledger domain of, hey, look over here. And then down here, it has seduced you. Down here, it has done whatever your life wanted to while you're looking. Right, it's saying, over here's the information, this is what you're looking for, and you look, but the information is misinformation on the basis that it says what you want can't be done. This, when it is at its optimum, is never seen, it's not recorded historically. If it is, you're getting a bad reflection of it, which is not the point, because there is no natural resistance to it. That's why it seems, at least you blame me all the time, which I don't care, but at least you blame me that, boy, this stuff gets bedazzling. This stuff it begins not only to swallow its own tail, it begins to swallow the part of it that I thought was swallowing its tail yesterday. Just because there is no natural resistance to it. Put another way, and I'm not speaking about me personally, of course, but once you can get plugged into this, you can't be misinformed. It just doesn't exist. You get on virgin shores, you get away from the old intelligence, and it's not a matter of what you look at. You may get there, and here you are, you jump off the boat, the raft, and you're in this brand new territory, and you see something. It's like a cross between what? A dinosaur and a rabbi. I don't know. There's no way you can stand there and go, wow, this thing doesn't exist. If you're the only person that sees it, how are you going to talk to somebody? And of course, you're that good, you realize that what you're seeing now, you're not going to turn to somebody next to you. You understand I'm having to stretch reality, because what are they doing there? They're supposed to be back, right? Playing with allegorical reality. But you know not to turn to somebody else and say, did you see that? And they say, no, because you wouldn't be that dumb. But then if you were that dumb to even start, then you get dumber. You say, let me describe it to you. And you might as well take a shovel intellectually and begin to dig a hole and get in it, because the more you talk to them. But do you understand? It is not misinformation, because it is not comparable to the old information. That's the trick, or one of the tricks. That once you get plugged into it, it's not a matter, which I know is none of you real people involved with this, it's none of your concern anymore at all. But it's not in some way about, how do I know I'm not being tricked by you or by this? How do I know that you're not seducing me? And compared to what? Then if you think about it a second, you realize, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. There's the proof. I can't tell whether you're seducing me or not. I don't even have any opinion anymore. Well, there you are. Of course, forget me. The information. Now, wait a minute. I used to think that I thought of weird stuff and spooky things, and I'd read all those weird books. But look at this. As you begin to get plugged into this, as you begin to be able to move up and see some of this yourself, is this spooky? Is this weird? You can't even say it is. You can't say it's not. It's sort of like a combination of a priest and a pterodactyl. Or maybe it's more like a combination of existentialism and a 52 Oldsmobile. Which, if that's the basis, that's what this is, you understand there is no natural resistance to this. How's somebody going to, just look at the ordinary world, who's going to stand and complain if you said, if you were that dumb, that yes, we believe that life itself, the powers, all the unanswered questions is actually a combination of a Safeway manager and an abandoned 49 Packard. Who in life is going to get it and say, wait a minute, that's dangerous territory. You people shouldn't be doing that. Or somebody stamp and say, wait a minute, I've heard that story before and you people are wrong and I can prove it. There just is no natural resistance to it. In case you still have any doubt. It makes for some interesting travel. I started to say it makes for some squishy travel, that you step off the boat after all this journey and the land seems sort of unstable. Whereas back in Spain, back before you left, they had good docks there. The land not given the great seismic upheavals. But it seems kind of mushy. Kind of gets between your neurological toes. Oozes up. Well, remember this. If you're going to have great thoughts, be sure and wash your feet first. And if you do travel through such areas, do not come in and track it on the white carpet. And with those kind of warnings, that's going to be the end of tonight's public tape. Back in business? You people in the other cities, you know who you are. I thought you ought to hear this. We're going to change. No one has talked me out of it in any way. I got some good notes, as I said, I just got to glance through, about making a change with the Evo Tech Theater. Several times I have mentioned about Evo Tech and said it was not my idea, and that I don't want to leave you with any impression, which I'm sure I have before, that I do not take Evo Tech as being serious in our sense of the word. That is, just because I didn't think of it doesn't mean that it has no validity, which shows you what a big person I can be. The Evo Tech Theater and everything connected with it, everything that's happened, all the advertising, all the music, the writing, the thinking about it, us meeting here, it is serving a good purpose. I am all in favor, for the time being, of this continuing. We're going to shake it up, though, unless I don't see any way for me to change my mind, that we're going to turn it down. Probably we'll let one more show go, I think. But by fall, isn't that the beginning of the theater season? It's going to be Evo Tech Science Fiction Theater. And every ad we're going to advertise whatever is necessary, but it's all going to be Evo Tech Science Fiction Theater. Or, if you can come up with a better term, it's all right, but that's going to be generally the name of it. Everything that we do, until further notice, will be called science fiction. Now, when I mentioned this the other night, I was even saying that we'll take some of the plays, and if they weren't science fiction, simply put them on Pluto and call it science fiction. Not really. I just said that. But there should not be any problem, which means there won't be any problem for me to say that. From now on, the plays will be science fiction. That should be just the gold mine for you people to come up with, and I'm dragging you people, letting you people out of town know about this, because we have of late not had a cornucopia of plays. So you people out of town, I want you really to feel free, we need some of it, to write up some science fiction. It's got to fit in that genre somewhere. Not according to me, I don't even keep up with science fiction, but I know what science fiction is when I see it. I may not know pornography, but I know science fiction when I see it. Just anything that an average science fiction person would accept. It's right as something. John, can you still want to be kind of in charge of at least the clearinghouse? Send it to old John to write us up one. Or send down just an idea, if we just a sketch. Any ideas you have, because from now on, Evo Tech, and we're also going to advertise it as the world's only science fiction theater. The world's only. Not America, not Georgia. The world's only science fiction theater. Continual number of science fiction, brand new shows. How many do we have a year? 4, 5? How many? Anyway, 5 or 6. Science original. You know, no 1940 adaptations, no Brave New Worlds. We're not going to, all those slow, those minor authors. What do you, oh, the dead ones, that's them. None of that. It's all going to be original. So you people out of town, because we need it, we'll put together one more play, but opening up, when will be the fall opening? September?
Yes.
All right. So by September, our brand new, we're going to do some heavy advertising, or more than we have done here. We're going to go on TV because we got a good entree to say that we have found a niche. We're going to become the world's only science fiction theater. And nobody's going to dispute it. It'll be worse than free publicity. But we need some good plays and you people out of town. Send them to John K. Ideas, outlines, sketches, if it's just one sentence. Or write up a good one. Go ahead and write it up. If it's that good, we'll get it done down here. In the more immediate business here, but I want everybody to understand, I take this as seriously as I take anything we do. I take it 5-dimensionally serious. This will be fun. I want to try to join in, at least be around and help do some of the work. But to get this thing into a whole new kind of theater. I still like the idea, if somebody didn't have a better one, the lobby. Now, if we're going to look at all these changes, by the way, as being by September. For the time being, unless Fran's here, isn't she? No. She's not? Well, be sure that unless there's some specific reason, we're not going to start advertising now. That is on the basis. The reason I'm saying that, Fran wrote me a couple of notes, I don't have them, of some people coming down in the next week or so to do reviews that we've never done. All right, tonight. The point is, we don't want anybody that's going to come down and do something be put off in any way. Don't let any word get out, and especially don't tell them specifically, like, wait a minute, maybe you ought to wait until fall because we're changing everything. Don't even tell them we're changing. They might go, well, wait, I'll wait until then. You understand? Let them come now. Don't let anybody that might have any adverse effect on us, don't let anybody know that we may be changing. If they say, we heard you're changing, shall I wait? Say, no, it's a canard. It's even a base, it's not a treble canard. Don't let them. Is he here? How come everybody I need's not here? All right. Is Bertrand Russell here? The sign, and I didn't get to see them all, but I saw there were some other ideas. But now I'll give everybody the weekend until Monday to come up with the ideas. To get them into me by Monday at least, and I'll look at these others. But we still want something new outside that I covered. I think all the possibilities, just something without taking down all of that. I like it basically, but I especially like the idea of something moving. And to use the top, I was looking over it coming in from West Paces Ferry over there on that side, to put maybe across the very top there, the ledge is permanently up there, as permanently as this goes, the world's only science fiction theater. The world's only live science fiction theater, because we have more room up there to spread it. The lobby, unless somebody comes with a better idea, I think we should go ahead and somebody go ahead and start thinking about the plans of it. Those of you know who you are that will end up doing most of the work, is gut the place again and build a facsimile of the Enterprise. Well, the deck of the Enterprise. I mean, surely somebody can come up with a still photograph somewhere. That's no big problem. And actually build that sucker down there. Let that turn into the whole place, and then once we start the ideas about where people sit and etc., we'll turn the ticket counter, build it into one of the places where people sit over there by consoles or. But at any rate, somebody start thinking about that or dig up a photograph. I like that. That should fit right in, and it'd be big enough, and we can do the windshield of this Enterprise. So that you're sitting out in cars and look in there, and we do the one that Tim did of the heavens, or maybe we may have to do a new one of sorts. But to give it some kind of effect of it being somewhere past just the windshield, just the sheet of glass. To give it some form of depth, but if you're sitting outside, that would make a nice focal point to draw people's attention with the banks of lights, and we already got pieces of that going, and then the apparent windshield of the thing and the heavens out there. And even some of you think about it, we might be able, well, we could. Is there some way to run that mechanically, I guess would be the easiest, but some way to run it to where it apparently the thing is moving. You know, that is, that stuff is going by. Somebody think about that. So unless somebody talks me out of it or has a better idea through Monday, I like that one. But I want any good ideas you have now for a name, a logo, a slogan, the signs outside, the lobby. Just think about it. I'll give you all weekend. Have a beer on me. Send me the bill. If that's what you need. Or have 10 cups of coffee. If you do that, don't send me the bill. Send me a urine specimen. I enjoy a laugh as well as the next position. Does everybody know, I don't know if I ever told you people this, I just happen to know this, that doctors cannot tell anything from urine specimens. They just take them as a joke. You're not supposed, it's just, I don't know, it's something that they started, it's like a joke for them to say, here, fill this up, and they go out of the room, they have a big laugh. That they make a grown-up human being dressed up in a suit or a dress, that they make you do that, and they look at it very seriously, or they get tweezers, or they get somebody else to move it out of the room. How they just throw it away? They can't tell anything from it. But anyway, so that's kind of information you can't get at church or the synagogue. You know. We need also Cindy and whoever else has done it has already come up since Wednesday with some good information. We've got a Star Trek convention coming up here in a couple of weeks. We're going to go over there and do something some way, and then there's a fantasy thing coming up next month. So we're going to get there. What I want to do, and plus she's already talked to one of the bookstores, and they got a 3,000 person mailing list that supposedly covers anybody interested in science fiction stuff in this area. If we just hit that market, we can just forget, I believe, forever worrying about trying to bring people in. If we can get in that market. So, any other ideas, any suggestions you got? Will you still just at least be the clearinghouse for the time being? Turn them into Cindy. Calvin already mentioned it'd be a good idea is to check anybody that even smacks of intellectualism. Those snobs like a chess club. Mensa, are you still, did you?
Yeah.
All right, find out some way. All right, tell them, do they know that you're involved with the theater at all? Or?
Not
well, at any rate, do they have a newsletter and etc.? The thing is we want to hit. Is it much of a size here in Atlanta? Wait, let me guess. How many people in Georgia have the IQ to get in Mensa? Wait, let me guess. All right, it's you and what? One or two other people? At any rate, tell Cindy we would like to let them at least know about it. Like one time, give them a discount, or at least if they got a mailing list or a thing is advertised. Okay. But all of you should be able to figure out as well as I can the kind of people that be some chance of a mailing list that we can find of some groups, organizations that would probably be interested in science fiction. Of course, that list of 3,000 may do us forever, but anybody else, and we'll go advertise in their little thing, or we'll swap them out some tickets, the head people. Do you understand what I'm asking? You can think of anybody else. Kind of organizations. Tell Cindy so we can try to pursue that. Tell me when we're out of tape now, when we should stop is the point. So be sure and do that. Because I want to cut down for us to be able to stop, if we can, ever worrying about handbills and all that stuff if we just got a ready market. And I'm just feel positive that this will be it. Plus it'll be a good new, not only the new lobby and new signs, but to give it a certain twist to all of you people who have been thinking about writing something, is now it's got to fit into the genre of science fiction, which I know is about as broad as you could have it, but at least it gives you somewhere to start now. You should be able, and I want to give everybody a little excursion, here and out of town. You can do this. By next Monday, if nothing else, write down on our little sheets of paper and hand it in. And you people out of town, collect them up and send them to us. Send them to me, send them to me, I want to see them. Give me 2 ideas. You're not obligated, but just give me 2 ideas of a science fiction play. You know, steal from me, steal from stuff you thought about, Kairouts. But just ideas, even if you don't get around to it, but it strikes you that, hey, this would be a great play for us to do. And just, you know, 1 sentence, you can do it. Just a little sketch about, here's what it should be. And such and such is happening, and having such and such, and playing with time, space, people's brains. There's these people are explorers, and it turns out that they were actually inside the human nervous system. They're exploring the brain. Think of everybody. Turn me in too, damn it. Or we'll get back out the rack and the wheel. Turn me in 2 ideas for science fiction plays. But now we need more, and this should get it going again. I mean, get me all excited, and hell, I'll write one. I'll steal somebody else and I'll turn it in and I'll put my name on it. Oh, even though I said that, I didn't want us to announce the change. I do want to do this, and I saw downstairs somebody had already written something on that playboard outside about the big thing having a science fiction something to it. Point is, even this play and the next one, even though we're not going to announce, I want, right now, anything else we do, advertising or inside those free things we do, is I want some way it mentioned, tied in some way. I guess you'll have to check with Calvin and Paul, weren't they the two writers, or anybody else? Maybe even switch a few things around in there or something. But start referring to it some way, obliquely. Hint that it might be science fiction. You follow me? Paul? Is Paul here?
It's already on the handbill.
It is?
It has been all through the show.
Didn't know it. Didn't notice. All right. Well, if you can up it a little, if we do any more. Somebody do it. You follow me?
Yes.
But if nothing else, outside. How about up on the marquee itself? Well, Paul, you figure out. Okay?
We will.
Something that we could stick up right quick, like, you know, before the weekend's out, that refers to it in some way, vis-a-vis science fiction, right?
Yes.
Okay? And definitely the next play, whether it's picked out or not, if the play itself is not that strong science fiction, at least as soon as we start advertising, in some way tie it in. You're still uncertain as whether we picked out a play? John, Jan?
We can make it sci-fi.
All right.
No problem.
But you do understand, don't announce that we're going to change over.
Right.
It's just that we've got a science fiction that happens to be coming up another one. But then we'll have plans that September, and be thinking about how to get us on TV and who would be interested. Well, that's good for a small thing. They got to pad these new shows that Evo Tech, the theater that's been around, the all-original theater, is now going to do something as unusual as we've been. Is going to do something not unusual, but unique, and then point out to them what the real definition of unique used to be. That we're going to be the world's only science fiction theater. But we wanted to give even the appearance of it being some kind of jolt going on here. The change outside, the change in the lobby. Is there anything else? And you people out there in California and New York and Florida and those other strange areas, send in the ideas. Send in the complete play. And we'll do it here. Take off some time. If we pick out your play and you come down and you help do it. But at least we can do it. I guess that's it. Let me repeat one more time, since I'm not going to make up a synonym for serious. I consider us being here as being an efficient of some importance since it got started. But we have got to do something different, and this seems to be it. So accept it as being some new fun. And give me all the ideas you got by Monday, and those of you that's going to end up doing some of the work, or those of you that just want to do some of the planning of the work, about the lobby, the moving sign. I got to tell you, I'll look at these. I still kind of like the one I just thought about while I was staying here Wednesday, about the thing on a pendulum with the rocket ship and somebody looking like a dunderhead, I guess, in there. Maybe we'll put one of put Bertie Russell in there with a beanie with a propeller or with ears. We got to go, folks. You people out of town, I hadn't forgotten you. I think about you as constantly as I do the people here. You are remembered as much as they are. And try and participate more. Here's a good place to do it again. And we'll have us a big grand opening party in the fall. Anybody wants to come down. We'll even get some, what do you call it? Starts with a B. Beside us. Beer. We'll have a party. The world's only beer-drinking science fiction theater. What does science fiction bus drink, I wonder? White wine? I told you it would be the world's only. Bye.